when Walter and I traveled to visit my in-laws. My mother-in-law, who had come to pick us up at the airport, gave us an unexpected reception. "You can't ride in the car, so you'll have to walk home," she said dismissively, with a huff and an eye roll. The walk was 3 hours one way, and while I'm confident in my physical strength, this treatment felt unbearable. I almost broke down, but then someone stepped in to help. In the end, it was my mother-in-law who ended up regretting her actions. I'm Jennifer, 30 years old, and happily married to Walter, who I met 2 years ago in a college mountain club. Walter is handsome and popular, and when he asked me out, I couldn't understand why he chose me, but according to Walter, it's because I persevere quietly, even on the toughest paths, and he admires that in me. Walter works at a prestigious company and earns a great salary, and we've been living happily together ever since our marriage, much like our college days. There's just one thing that nags at me: Walter's constant calls with his mother during dinner. Walter often rushes off to take these calls, apologizing. "Sorry, it's Mom, I'll go talk to her." His mother calls him about once every 2 days, and it seems like she really adores him. Walter is sweet to her, which makes me think he might be a mama's boy, but since she raised him, I try to be patient and appreciate her, though it doesn't always feel reciprocated. Before we were married, we visited my in-laws, and my mother-in-law immediately seemed displeased when she learned I was a few years older than Walter. "Jennifer is almost 30, 2 years older than my son," she said, clearly irritated. She didn't even try to hide her displeasure. My father-in-law, trying to smooth things over, said, "Love conquers all. Jennifer seems dependable, and she's a good match for Walter." But this seemed to make my mother-in-law even more upset. Instead of confronting my father-in-law, she decided to take her frustrations out on me in subtle ways. She'd give me sharp looks, snort, or twist her lips whenever she wasn't happy. I learned to read these cues like a zoologist studying animal behavior. "It's fine, I can eat it," I'd smile, cutting off the bad parts of the dried fruit and eating it, as I had learned to survive in tough situations during our mountain club days. Walter and my father-in-law would laugh, but I could always spot the disapproving glance and hear her tongue click. Then there was the time she showed us souvenirs from her trip to Italy. She gave Walter a high-end branded tie, but when it was my turn, she handed me a cheap t-shirt with a fake logo. "Try it on, Jennifer," she insisted, her face giving away her intentions. I didn't want to make a scene, so I said, "I don't think this tie suits me with casual clothes," and smiled through the discomfort, but inside I was seething. I only wore that t-shirt for things like weeding in the summer or as a joke in photos with friends. I hated even looking at it. These little incidents were just enough to wear me down, and when I brought them up to Walter, he would brush them off, saying, "Mom's a little eccentric, so just let it go." But the constant subtle cruelty began to take its toll. Our town was only an hour away from my in-laws, so we could visit easily, which I secretly resented. Then, one day, Walter dropped a bombshell. "Jennifer, I'm sorry for the sudden news, but I've been transferred. It starts next month. Please start preparing." I was surprised, but also secretly relieved to have an excuse to distance myself from my mother-in-law. The new location was closer to my parents' house, and it felt like a return to familiarity. "Leave the preparations to me, I'll ask my family for help," I said, my heart lighter as I made plans. At last, I thought, I'd be free from my mother-in-law's petty torment. While I had some worries about our new life, 80% of my thoughts were filled with relief that we were moving away from her. The move was completed, and I thought I was free, but then came another call from my mother-in-law. "Jennifer, where have you been? I tried calling, but you didn't answer. Are you neglecting my son while spending time with your parents?" I was tempted to sigh, but instead, I replied, "I'm sorry I missed your call. I was at the checkout. Walter might be tired with the new move, so I'm making sure he's well fed." Her calls continued, sometimes every 2 days, though we saw each other less. We still spoke frequently. Most of the time, it was her making offhand comments that left me feeling uncomfortable. My son is sensitive, but I wonder if someone like Jennifer can truly understand him. His high school girlfriend was delicate, but his taste has changed. It felt like I was becoming her stress outlet. The worst were the comments about children. "Jennifer, you're 30, right? What do you think about having kids? I wonder if someone older than my son can even have a normal child." I was stunned that anyone would say something so hurtful, and since it was something I'd been worrying about myself, I couldn't hold back the tears once I hung up. Did she think her words didn't affect me? I responded with neutral answers to avoid arguments, and slowly, the calls became less frequent. I finally felt a sense of peace. Then, on New Year's Day the next year, Walter and I were on our way to my in-laws' house. They were picking us up from the airport. "Hi, Walter, Jennifer, long time no see," my father-in-law greeted us warmly, and despite my dread of seeing my mother-in-law, his friendly demeanor was a relief. "Happy New Year, Mom and Dad," Walter said cheerfully. "Happy New Year to both of you," I added. "Happy New Year, glad you could make it," father-in-law said warmly, but my mother-in-law didn't even look at me. Perhaps she was still angry about my cold responses to her calls. It was an awkward moment, and I wasn't sure how to navigate it. "You must be tired after your journey. How about a break at the airport cafe?" my father-in-law suggested, seemingly unaware of the tension. "Great idea. Isn't there a cafe upstairs?" Walter said, clearly eager to move past the discomfort. "Should I drive back?" mother-in-law asked. "No, I'm still able to drive," Walter replied. While the men chatted, my mother-in-law and I were silent. "I'm going to the restroom," I said after placing my order, excusing myself. "Oh, I'll go too," mother-in-law said, standing up to follow me. I had a sinking feeling about what was coming. As we neared the restroom, mother-in-law spoke up. "You can't ride in the car, so why don't you walk home?" I turned, confused, and saw that same expression on her face. "We're a family of 3 now, you're just a stranger, aren't you?" I couldn't believe my ears. She wanted me to walk from the airport to her house? How far was that? And calling me a stranger, her son's wife? Frozen in shock, I couldn't respond before she continued. "I've been nice, calling you all the time, but you always respond coldly. Living near your parents has gone to your head. I don't want to think of you as my daughter-in-law. You're just a stranger." Her voice was rising, and I was in shock, but not wanting to cause a scene. I muttered a response, too stunned to say more. I understood what she meant, but I wasn't ready to face Walter and my father-in-law again, so I made my way to the exit of the airport, walking slowly. Although she had asked me to return, I knew this was an airport, and there were taxis and buses available. I could get as far as possible and then walk the rest of the way, but more than anything, I was thinking about how I would face my in-laws once I arrived at their home. What would I say when I got there on foot? And how would I handle the next few days of my stay? These thoughts weighed heavily on me. I pulled out my phone and searched for transport options to my in-laws' house. There was a bus leaving in just 10 minutes, but it wouldn't get me very close. From there, I'd have to walk, a journey that could take about 3 hours. 3 hours, nothing too difficult for someone used to hiking, but walking just for exercise is very different from walking because I wasn't allowed to ride in the car due to harassment. Tears started to form in my eyes. Was this my fault? If I had just stayed calm on the phone and not let it upset me, maybe this wouldn't have happened. As I walked, lost in thought, I felt someone tap me on the shoulder. "Jennifer, why are you walking here?" It was my father-in-law's voice. "Did my wife say something to you at the restroom entrance?" "I was headed that way, and I saw the two of you talking, then you started walking, so I followed." His gentle face made the tears in my eyes overflow. "Jennifer, what's going on?" His concern was clear, and I finally told him everything. I told him exactly what his wife had said, and he became angrier than I'd ever seen him. "Did she say that to my son's wife?" he asked, incredulity in his voice. Then, he said something I didn't expect. "I'll walk with you, Jennifer." Without another word, he stepped in front of me and began walking. "Father-in-law, it's okay, I enjoy hiking, and I used to do it with Walter when he was little. A 3-hour walk is nothing," I reassured him. Despite being 62, his stride was strong and steady. "Let's go," he said. "I forgot to tell Walter we're leaving. Is that all right?" I suddenly remembered that in my shock, I hadn't informed him. "He'll be fine, she'll probably have him wait. I'll message him," he replied, taking out his phone. He sent a quick text to his wife, letting her know we were walking back together and that the car keys were in his bag. While we waited for the bus, father-in-law's phone rang. He answered it, his voice barely holding back his anger. It was undoubtedly his wife on the other end. "I heard what you said to Jennifer. If you're going to talk like that, I won't get in the car either," he said firmly. From the other side, I could hear my mother-in-law's frantic voice. "That's not what happened. She said she wanted to walk for exercise." How shameless. I couldn't even be angry, just shocked. "We'll talk when we get home," he said, hanging up and putting his phone back in his pocket. My phone rang next, and father-in-law and I exchanged a look. "It's probably her," I said. "What does she want now? To tell us to ride in the car?" father-in-law muttered. "I'm not answering it," I said firmly. We both ignored the call, boarding the bus and continuing on foot once we got off. This way's a shortcut. There's a hill here for a bit, but let's keep going, father-in-law said occasionally, offering tips that made it feel like we were climbing together. I hadn't planned for such a long walk, and I was wearing regular boots, while father-in-law had on leather shoes. Won't those shoes hurt your feet after all this walking? I asked once. He glanced at my feet and shrugged. I guess we're both in the same boat, making a woman walk this far in those shoes. I can't believe her, he sighed. We thought about taking a taxi, but neither of us mentioned it, knowing it would annoy my mother-in-law. You're strong, Jennifer, walking this far without complaining. I'm sure that's what Walter admired about you, father-in-law said, and it made me feel a little better. We kept walking, stopping to buy drinks from vending machines and a store to stay hydrated. After about 3 hours, as the sun began to set, we finally arrived at my in-laws' house. Their car was parked outside, so they must have already returned. We're home, father-in-law said, opening the door. Walter immediately rushed over, looking concerned. Jennifer, I was so worried. Why did you decide to walk back? Did Mom tell you to do this? No, it was Mom who told Jennifer to walk back, father-in-law said as he slumped into a chair by the door, clearly tired. My mother-in-law appeared from the living room, her face pale and shocked. No, that's not what happened. It's not, she stammered. I couldn't hold back any longer. What was the misunderstanding? You said, since I can't ride in the car, why don't I just walk back, didn't you? I said, laying out the truth. I wasn't one to lie, and I was reminded of my hiking days. 3 hours of walking was just a good workout. Walter turned to look at his mother. He knew I wasn't the type to lie. All of us, father-in-law, Walter, and I, looked at her in silence. What, you're going to believe her over me? She's just a stranger, and you trust her over your own family? My mother-in-law screamed. So, I wasn't allowed in the car because I'm a stranger? I replied quietly. Mom, I can't believe you'd say that. Jennifer is a part of my family. I want you to understand that, Walter said, his voice trembling with anger. If you're going to treat Jennifer this way, I'm done with you. I won't take your calls anymore. Don't contact Jennifer, either. He took my hand, his grip firm. Let's go. Walter, wait, my mother-in-law pleaded, but he slammed the door behind us and, without looking back, led me away. A year later. Hey, Jennifer, Walter, come look, the view's amazing, father-in-law called to us while we were hiking. 6 months after Walter was transferred, we moved back to our old home. After the New Year's incident, father-in-law decided to divorce and moved near us. Now, weekend hikes had become a regular part of our lives. Let's have lunch at the summit, Walter suggested, eager to share the moment, and we began preparing our meal. As we worked, father-in-law spoke up. Mom started spending recklessly after the divorce. Even though the property division was fair, she's already in financial trouble. I think she was lonely. The divorce hit her hard, with all the crying and yelling, he explained. I think some space is best for both of us. She needs to broaden her horizons so she doesn't take her stress out on the people close to her. I listened quietly, gazing at the beautiful view. I'll take care of my own world so I don't take my stress out on anyone else, I thought, feeling content with my precious family by my side. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.